Hi, my name is Kelsey Euclid, and I'm one of the students in the class finishing my MSW. So I started off in the online, or not the online, the traditional program at ASU. I graduated with my bachelor's in social work in 2014 and then went straight through. Started off in the online part-time program. About halfway through, I got pregnant, had my son, so I transferred into the online program because I was am working full time. So going to class and having newborn and working full time and interning seemed like a lot. So I was glad that they rolled out the online program. So my first internship was at the City of Phoenix, the Housing and Supportive Services, and that was more case management. We did a lot of crisis intervention with residents who were about to be evicted, things like that. For my second internship placement, I started off at a small private practice doing individual counseling. I was really excited, going to be able to get counseling experience, and something happened, and the ASU pulled all the interns from the agency, and we had to find new placements. So I was lucky enough to find a placement with a group home, which is great because it's 24/7. So I've been able to kind of make out my hours on top of working and having a kiddo and everything else that comes along with it. So I'm interning at a group home that is called Mulligan's Manor. It kind of came to fruition about 6 years ago. The owner is an LCSW. She's worked for Head Start. She's worked at Arizona State Hospital. She's worked at all these different places. But she kind of took this called personal mastery through Plummer, and after that, she really brought Mulligan's Manor to fruition. So it's a nonprofit group home. They cater specifically to the LGBT youth in the foster care system. So the kids identify, or some of them are allies. We do have one youth right now who is transgender, male to female. She's in the process of transitioning, early process of transitioning. When I met her, she was still using male pronouns and her male name. So they really, really kind of advocate for this really still unrepresented population, especially in the foster care system. It's a safe place for them to be able to go through the process of transitioning, or just to be really supported in whatever their sexuality, their gender, um, anything that they believe and feel. They're really supported there. It's a safe place. Um, it's so I've been able to get training in the LGBT population, especially with the transgender youth, which I do not know a lot about. So I've been able to kind of sit with the supervisor and learn more about the process and the things that they have to kind of go through to be able to transition. Um, so I've been able to do individual work with them, kind of a lot of CBT, a lot of cognitive behavioral with the kiddos. I've co-facilitated a group with another intern. We do a lot of CBT activities. We talk about perception and perspective. I just did one on boundaries, healthy versus unhealthy boundaries, as well as relationships. I had strips of paper that I wrote unhealthy boundaries, healthy characteristics of unhealthy boundaries, and healthy boundaries, and had them kind of label where they thought those fell, and then we had a discussion about it. They kind of were a little hesitant about it because they do like to just kind of play video games and watch movies. They're teenagers, so anything that's not that is kind of like, but they really got into it, and they had some healthy discussion on boundaries and relationships, and they had a lot of input, and they were very they listened to each other, and they kind of fed off of each other appropriately, and it went really well. We're doing a group on coping skills, so I'm going to talk to them about healthy versus unhealthy coping skills. Maybe talk to them a little bit about meditation and mindfulness. We So I'm going to talk to them about meditation and mindfulness as well when we talk about coping skills. I did a coping skills Jeopardy, just to kind of make it fun for them. If it's not fun, if they don't get prizes, if it's not engaging, they really, really, really whine and complain, and it just does not make for a good time. So my supervisor at my internship, she facilitates the TOP program, which is a teen outreach program. She got a grant to train a couple staff from some of the bigger group homes like Sun Air and the Leadership Academy to have the staff be able to do top groups with the teenagers. I wasn't able to attend it just because I started a new job. But she's given me a lot of pointers when it comes to running groups and doing groups, and she calls it the BERTA. And it's Mr. ELC and Miss BERTA, so it's experiential learning. And that is really how you engage teens. Like, they have to learn by doing it and by talking about what they did. And then the BERTA is the way that you set up your group. So you always start with establishing your boundaries. In TOP, it's called ropes. So they go through, and like R is for respect, and O is for like ouch. So if someone says something that was hurtful for you, you can say ouch, so that they know that they said something that hurt you, and then that can kind of facilitate discussion. And then so on and so forth. So you establish those boundaries, like the group norms, every group, to make sure that everyone's aware. And the group norms for us were that not to talk over each other, one person talking at a time, no side talk, because they do kind of like to make comments here and there on the side, not always appropriate. That they're respecting what their peers are saying. That everything that's said in group stays in group. It's kind of hard establishing that boundary because we hold the group in their group home, but just really reiterating that group is a safe place. There's no discussion outside of group about what happened in group, as well as that it is voluntary for them to participate, but they must stay for the whole time. They can't come in and out of the discussion. So we establish those boundaries every time. And then we do an icebreaker. I really like physical icebreakers, and it works well because they're teenagers, and most of them are teenage boys, and they really need that like physical because they're stuck in the house a lot. They feel like they're cooped up. They don't get out a lot. It's so hot outside. So I try to do like more physical icebreakers, get them moving, get them thinking, get them ready, and then we sit down. We have table toys for them to play with, because it really, really helps them focus if they have something to do with their hands. A lot of them do have ADHD. A couple of them are autistic. So just recognizing the needs of the group was really important, and making sure that all the kiddos were comfortable in the group discussion. So we do the icebreaker, and then we get to the BERTA, and the BERTA is B is briefing, so you tell them what you're going to do during the group. So for example, for the coping skills, tell them that we're going to talk about coping skills, that we're going to talk about unhealthy versus healthy coping skills, and why it's important to have healthy coping skills. And then E is the experience. So that would be the coping skills Jeopardy. It's set up like exactly like Jeopardy. There's a couple different categories. Some of them are like, say why this is a coping skill, like exercise, saying why that's a good coping skill. There's a couple true or false. And then there's some riddles, because humor is a lot of people's coping skills. A lot of the kids use humor to kind of cope with the things that they are going through. So kind of getting them out of this so much serious part of the discussion. And then R is the reflection. So talking about what they've learned and talking about what coping skills maybe they have, what coping skills they could potentially exchange for some of their unhealthy coping skills. I did. I got them stress balls as well as I got a handout that's 50 ways to take a break. So different things that they can do. They all really like music. They like to, some of them like to draw. A lot of them are very artistic and write poetry. So just really fostering that creativity as a coping skill versus some of the other things that they do that's not quite as healthy. And then the D is debriefing. So you always ask them, how did you feel in the group? Is there something that the facilitator said that you liked? Is there something that you didn't like? Is there something that you'd like to do for the next group? And then the A is the application, which is how can they apply this to their life? So what coping skills can they use next time that they're feeling, if you're stressed out or angry or anything like that. So she gave me that template to kind of lay out the group, and that really helped a lot with like the comfort of myself doing a group. My first one I wasn't very comfortable with, as well as I had like a knee-jerk reaction to their attitudes. I kind of responded to that and like, oh my gosh, they don't want to be here. And then I got nervous and I kind of shut down. So it was as much as me being able to check that and know that I have that response to someone not wanting to be there. It increases my own anxiety. So kind of going in there knowing that maybe some of them don't want to be there and they're not always going to want to be there. So it's helped on my aspect and being comfortable as a group facilitator. And then it helped a layout to make the group flow better with everything like that. So I've really been able to pick up a lot and experience a lot. I got to sit in on a grant proposal, which was really, really interesting. I've never done that before. I don't really know the whole grant and the macro side of things. So just being able to experience different things and be able to grow with these kiddos and get to know them and learn their stories and learn their personalities and really, really bond with them has just been fantastic. I'm really going to miss them. However, I'm excited to graduate and move forward and move on, next steps in life. Right now I work for Healthy Families, so I do home visitation with families with new babies. They can enter the program up to their baby being 90 days old, and they can stay for 5 years. So I do a lot of early childhood development, a lot of nurturing and attachment, the protective factors, things like that. And after graduating, I hope to be able to move to a different program, to do to the Good Fit program, to be able to do counseling. Infant mental health is really, really the field that I want to be in. I love the teenagers, but infant mental health, working with families, that's kind of my niche. That's really, really what I like. So yeah, that's my experience in kind of a nutshell. I really enjoyed getting to hear or see or read about everyone else's experience, and I wish everyone luck in their next, wherever they're going after this.